welcome to me doing some plant stuff because I decided today is plant care day and I really hope the audio works fine. I hope the visual is not too bad. I'm filming on my tablet and I've set up my microphone, but honestly this could be like the shittest video ever. Nothing could be recording for all I know, but here we are. So I think the audio is not the best, but I don't have time to like figure it all out, so deal with it. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm going to repot this Sigonium. Look, it's so beautiful. I love this plant. I was just checking in on it and some of the roots are coming out from the bottom, so that usually means that it's time for a bigger pot. It needs a little bit more space, so I'm going to be repotting this. This is actually like the pot that it came in when I bought it, and it came in this like paper thingy, and I actually kept it in it because it's quite nice and I think I will keep this for some other plant, but I will probably clean it out and put like a lacquer in it or something because yeah, I mean, it's made of paper, like it's covered in something. It's not just pure paper, but it's not the best pot for, you know, water, holding water for some time. So then another thing is I'm going to be placing this little plant in soil there, and this is a, I don't remember the name. I'm going to put it up somewhere here. I think it was called commonly a boat lily or something like that. I'm not bothered to check right now. And another thing I'm going to pot is this Christmas cactus that I've had in water. There's a lot of roots. And also this thing, which I don't remember the names. I looked it all up before I started filming, and I could look it up now, but I'm not gonna. So when I'm actually potting things, I'll put it up on the screen what it is. As for the rest of the plants around me, they're just for aesthetic purposes. This is a Dracaena, I think. Yeah, that's a Dracaena, I'm pretty sure. Behind me I can't even see it really well. This is an English ivy, or a Heterohelix. Here we have peace lily, and I have a rubber plant there, and I have a lot of other plants, but I mean, I'm not gonna fit here. Maybe someday I'll do a plant tour. But yeah, so what made me make this video in the first place was, first of all, I noticed the Sigonium needed to be repotted, but also we have this ginormous devil's ivy in my kitchen that is super tangled and has been just left to its devices for like years. So I decided to untangle it, and in the process I noticed that this long vine here has been just snapped off. I think this happened a couple of days ago when my mom installed some new shelves next to it. So they were moved and possibly snapped then. No, it was not my fault. It did not happen while I was untangling them, because you can see that they're kind of wilting a little bit. They're not the happiest, so this happened definitely a couple of days ago. It's not my fault. Normally I would be doing all of this outside because it does tend to make a little bit of a mess with soil and everything, but it is so hot outside. It is hot inside, but outside it's like the devil's fucking butt crack. I could not deal with it. So let's jump into it, I guess. So I changed pants and also I turned on the fan, and I hope you can't hear it because I need it on. It is so hot today. I cannot deal with heat. So I have several pots here, like bigger and smaller ones for the different things, and I have some soil over there. And I think we're just gonna start with the Sigonium, which was the original one that I was going to repot, and then I decided that I have some others that I have that also need repotting. So it needs a slightly bigger pot. This one like is slightly larger than what it has, but not by a lot at all. But the next bigger one that I have, this one, seems like a bit too big. and I could in theory plant it into the big one already. Nothing bad would happen. I would just need to make sure that I don't overwater it so it doesn't get overwhelmed, but I'm not sure. I think I will take off this pot and see how root bound it is, how much space it actually needs, and then I can go from there. So if we try to pop it out, if we can. That's another, okay, here it goes. Okay. Alright, so this is not good. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but especially on this side here, there's some fuzz. So some of this, it's not exactly root rot, but there's some sort of fungus, something going on, something. It's not liking this at all. It's not happy. So yeah, it definitely needs to be repotted. Thankfully it hasn't gotten to the point where, thankfully I've caught it now, because otherwise, like, once it gets to the leaves, it gets real shit, it looks bad. So yeah, I think, what if we put it in here? Yeah, I think here we'll have enough space, because it's also, it's not as wide, like it's slightly wider than this pot, but it's also higher, so I think we'll have enough space in this pot. I don't want to overwhelm it either. So I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to put this soil back in here. Oh, and what I'm going to do is also I'm going to get some cinnamon and put that around the roots and in the soil and on top of the soil. This helps prevent like fungus and fungus gnats and things like that. A lot of plants really like cinnamon, and cinnamon is like a natural rooting agent as well, so I'm hoping that this will help the plant reacclimate. Also, I just wanted to say that I'm not using gloves. Sometimes I use gloves, sometimes I don't. I don't really care that much. I don't mind touching all the dirt and stuff. Like, I know it's literally dirt, but I'm gonna wash my hands afterwards. I'm not touching anything else. It's not that big of a deal for me. Like, I know some people really don't like it, like touching soil and stuff like that, but I don't mind. Like, I like gardening and things, and I don't like working in like a garden without gloves, but when I'm working with houseplants, it's really not a big deal. Okay, so here we go. This is basically done being repotted. I'll just add some water to it and find a new place for it probably, because this pot is a bit too big to hang where it was hanging before. And also this, well, it is a vine and it will eventually probably vine out. It's more bushy than anything, so it doesn't make that much sense to hang it there anyway, so I'll probably find something else to hang there, and yeah, I'll find a new spot for it. So next up we have some potting, because that's all that need to be repotted, because everything else is water propagating and just needs to be transferred into soil. So I'm gonna have this like super tiny terracotta pot that I'm going to stick this into. So you see this right here. And it comes from a larger plant that we have in the living room, but part of it snapped off, something, I don't remember. We were yeah, we were doing something with it and it had this little part of it, and we just stuck it into water and these little flowers started to come out. They're not flowers, that's the actual flat vine or plant part, but they look like little flowers now. And it's not really liking being in the water now that it has these stems. So I'm just gonna put it into a really tiny pot and yeah, just let it in there for a little while. What I'm gonna do is probably wash it off a little bit in the sink, because if you can see, it has kind of this like green stuff around it. It's not really focusing, but because of just being in the water, it's like algae or something, and I can't get rid of it in the water, and it's not liking it, so I'll wash it off and come back and stick it into soil. I've gone and washed it off a little bit. I'm going to snip this little top part up here because it seems to be dying off anyway, so I'm only doing it a service. So yeah, it's gonna probably just rot away anyway. So I am going to cut that off, and I'm going to grab a tiny bit of dirt more, shove it in there, make a little hole, and then shove this guy in here, and then I'm going to water it thoroughly to make sure that it doesn't have too much transplant shock, because you have to remember, if you are potting something that has been in water for a while, you need to keep it in like a moist environment, otherwise it's gonna have this like shock from being completely submerged in water to being like, oh, what the hell is this? It's going to suffocate if you don't water it enough, and yeah, that's about it. Like, there's nothing too complicated about that, just, you know, common sense. Like, if it's used to being in water for a really long time and then you shove it into somewhere dry, it's not gonna like it. And I'm gonna water everything after I'm done putting everything into soil, so just saying that. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is probably the Christmas, what are they called, like Christmas cacti? I think they're Christmas cacti because I know, like, the same variety, there's like Christmas cacti or Thanksgiving cactus or Easter cactus, and they're all kind of the same. The only thing difference is when they bloom, like when they flower, and I think this is a Christmas cactus because, or an Easter cactus, doesn't really matter. It's one of those. So I'm gonna put this boy to the side. I don't remember what it's called. Again, I will put it on the screen, but I'm gonna put this thing aside. And then I'm going to take this up, because these root systems are actually really intertwined, so I hope I'm not gonna break anything while I separate them, because they do need to be separated so I can pot them, and they're like clinging on to each other as well. Okay, so I've separated this one, separated this one, and this is just one, but its roots are very tangled. So I will probably, because there's roots coming out from this top section as well as this bottom one, so I'm probably gonna shove it into soil like up to here, so this bottom part is actually in soil itself. And okay, I need to get on that. I think I will also go and wash these off because the water in here hasn't been changed in a couple of weeks, which is bad. If you're water propagating anything, you should change the water out like every week, every 2 weeks or something, but you can see that it's a bit green as well. Probably algae or something. I don't know what exactly it is. I'm not an expert, guys, so yeah, I'm gonna go wash these. And you can see them like this. And yeah, I'm actually not the biggest fan of Christmas cactuses or this type of plant, because even though when they do bloom quite pretty, they're kind of fussy, because the thing is, my mom couldn't figure this out for quite a while, because whenever they would bloom, they would just like fall off in like, sorry, need to adjust a little. Okay, there you go, now you can see me. They would fall off like little flowers. They would like bloom and be really pretty, and they would just like fall off like for no reason. And I googled this and I did some research, and apparently they are very, very light sensitive, and if you move them a little bit, even if you go to like water them by a sink and you bring them back and you don't place them in like the right position as they were before, they're going to turn to where they had the optimum light, and the bulbs on the little thingies, they get confused, like they just screw off essentially, and they're so weak, and I don't know, it's so annoying because like even if we religiously don't touch this fucking plant. We had a cleaning lady who just like moved stuff around when she was cleaning, which is like not really her fault, but and this like poor cactus, like these beautiful flowers would just fall off because yeah, they were like twirling to where the light is and they would move so much that they would just plop off. And obviously plants move to adjust to better light that's, you know, better for them, which is understandable, but they're so weak that like they move a little bit and they just plop off, which is kind of annoying. So they're not my favorite plants, but yeah, we had one in the kitchen and it was kind of dying, honestly, so I took it off and I put it in some water, and now they've grown a lot of roots. We still have some more in the kitchen that are water propagating, so I'm just gonna plop these in a pot and hope they do well because they're so complicated, they're so annoying. I never know what is the right light level for them because the place where we have most of our plants in the kitchen is mainly cacti because it is such bright, direct light. Most plants don't like it, and yeah, we don't really have a good place to put them. My mom has a really nice large one in her bedroom / office, and it's in the shade and it's doing quite well, but in the kitchen they're not doing so well, and yeah, I don't know where to put it because it's just, there's just no good place for it. And here we go. So this is, some of it fell out. But this is the, how I repotted it. By the way, these, like, you'll notice that they have little roots up here, and they actually do this, like with each little node, they sometimes just like throw out random roots in the air, and they dry out for no reason, and that also I don't think looks great. This is another reason why I'm not too big of a fan of these, but I mean, yeah, what can you do? Next up, what do I have next up? Oh, I have this guy here that I actually, this originally came, yeah, from a really large plant that we have, again, in our living room / kitchen, and I had water propagated it before, and it had thrown out, like, just like this little, like, tiny leaves here, but, like, larger ones, actually, and I had put it into soil, and it started doing really badly. It was really unhappy, and I couldn't really figure it out, and so I just took it out, and I put it back into water. But some of the actual leaves that it shot out before are still in a pot, and I will show you in a second what those look like. This is what the new leaves from it look like, and it's growing in this little pot, and they're kind of happy. The leaves are kind of light because I think they need to be in a bit of a darker spot. They're very, very light, the leaves. And yeah, these came from this actual leaf, but then it was doing really badly, so I took it out, but the rest of them stayed in the water, not in the water, sorry, in the soil, and they're doing fine. So now that this has grown even more roots and even more offshoots, I'm gonna attempt to put it into another pot because, like, and if this dies in a pot, then fuck it. Like, we have a lot of them, like a lot of opportunities for them to grow. I don't need this specific one, but I would like it to thrive. I want it to grow, and I'm actually not sure. I was thinking of putting it in its own separate pot, but now I'm thinking to just add it into this one, like just stick it in there with the rest of them. No, I think I'll give it its own little pot. Although I'm not sure if I have one handy right now. I have to go get one. So I've got this very tiny pot, and that's where I'm going to stick it because I think it's going to be overwhelmed if I put it in a bigger pot. So I'm going to put it in this tiny baby nursery pot, which is smart because it actually does have a lot of roots, and I think this might be too many roots for it to like acclimate properly, so I will try my best to keep it in conditions and monitor it so it doesn't die off, because that would be so sad, like watching all these beautiful roots and little shoots come out and then it just dying on me. So let's give this a shot. Kind of another thing with this is because this leaf is kind of heavy, and then it pulls out, like, because the roots are not like bound into the soil yet, because I just put them in, and it kind of just plops out, and I've had to kind of cover the very tiny little new nodes, so I hope that that doesn't, you know, kill it, because I mean this is the main photosynthesis leaf anyway, like those tiny ones aren't, you know, photosynthesizing much light anyway, and yeah, I hope it's fine. So now I'm going to water all of these and make sure that they're watered thoroughly. So I'm back with some water for the plants, and yeah, I just really hope that these plants do acclimate and, you know, survive this shock, because it's quite a shock. I will put them in the same places where they were before in water, so that they have at least the same light level, so that they don't have to adjust to that as well. In case that audio was shit, my plants in Belgium during quarantine fucking died, all except one cactus, and I've been overcompensating here, which I'm really happy about. I love my plants. They bring me joy, like, genuinely. Maybe I can do a plant tour one day. Pretty sure I said that earlier. I have such bad memory, by the way. Okay, I need to water the rest of these plants. Like, I have these little saucers that I put under some of my plants, because some of my plants that have the holes and stuff, I put them into another pot that doesn't have holes, but some of them I put into, like, for example, these plants here, you can see they're in this, it's kind of fabric, but on the inside it's plastic, so it's kind of a second pot, but just in case inside I also put a little saucer like that. So the water is caught in there. Right. I'm such a scatterbrain, like, I'm literally sitting down here to, like, nothing is different. I'm just talking while doing this stuff, and it's taking me like 10 times as long than it should just to water some fucking, like, 5 pots that should take literally 2 seconds, because I start talking and, like, looking at other stuff, and yeah, I need to concentrate better on this stuff. Otherwise, like, I don't know how all my plants have managed to stay alive, because I get so distracted, and, like, I'm like, oh, I need to water this plant, and I'm like, oh wait, I need to go do this, and then I come back and then I forget about watering, but somehow, like, I do manage, because I do care a lot about my plants, actually. Also, I have no idea what I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes. I hope it makes sense. I hope it's watchable. Editing me is probably hating myself right now, because I have to decide what to leave in and what to cut. Hi, future Amanda! Yeah, but that's about it for this video. If you like this kind of content, let me know. My 20 subscribers, yeah, this is just something that I would normally do, and I decided to film it. I don't know how great the quality is, probably not the best, but yeah, I like doing plant stuff. Yeah, I know that I mentioned the cutting of the devil's ivy here that I have in a mug, and I was thinking about cutting it up and water propagating it that way, but I think I'm going to let it recover a little bit for a couple of days in water, because yeah, they're not very happy and it would need to be water propagated anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is let this long vine sit in water for a couple of days to see if it recuperates at all. I really love this ivy. It's Like there's some beautiful variegation on it. There's some leaves not so much on this particular vine, but like for example here you can see like these beautiful spots of like white and yellow, and like here yeah it's like proper white. I really love that, like the actual like the main plant. I might put in some pictures here. It has some really nice variegation and I love that. That's why I also really like the Sigonium, because it's just like thoroughly variegated, because like I'm not sure if this counts as actual variegation, but it has this like, you know, light color in the middle and some things like that. I know there are actually like a variegated Sigonium which has like splatters and not like this type of white. Like I don't know how to explain this because I don't know the technical term for it. Like most Sigoniums look the fucking same to me, because that's why I don't even know what type of Sigonium this is, because they all look so fucking similar. Like normally plants you can tell what kind they are because of like their variegation and things like that, but most Sigonium are variegated, like they're like this. So I don't know. This is the video. Like and subscribe.